The crypto bull market still has a long way to go. The bulk of the gains for this cycle are ahead of us, in my opinion. I'm going to show you why I think that in this video, not just for BTC, but we're seeing many altcoins really outperforming specifically as well. So we're going to have a look at how they're going to react to the Bitcoin price moving up. We've got Ethereum here, Solana just breaking through resistance. So risk is coming back into the market, and specifically a lot of altcoins can take advantage of that. And Bitcoin has a long way to go for this cycle. Nowhere near taking profits on anything, we've been accumulating for the past 12 months. Nowhere near. So let's have a look at this. Bitcoin short term, the ETFs are a done deal. They're coming on or before Jan 10th. The adverts have been made already, right? The SEC is crossing T's and dotting I's with the issuers. This is happening. Absolutely sure of that. Unless something really crazy happens. Can't be 100, but I'm 99.9 on this. Now, for the short-term price action, this is insane as well. It just shows that people want this asset. There are more buyers than sellers in this market. You can see as we broke out of this, and we are in a huge area of, choppy trade, as you can see right here. However, look at this short-term price action. We had a top and a little bit of a rejection from there. We've had essentially a double bottom or a support level here, and we've rejected off of that to the upside. We're now coming back into this resistance level right here, testing it yet again. Why? The ETFs are coming in literally a couple of weeks. Then you've got rate cuts and the halving. It's such an obvious, it's slapping you around the face, this trade, and we're still not anywhere overdone in the trade. Now, what's going to happen when the ETFs are approved, if they're approved? Well, there's going to be a lot of profit taking from a lot of funds that have been in from 20, 25K, trading this, right? Short-term funds, they just want to trade around and they'll be profit taking. I get that. However, this price action suggests that we want to go higher still. The next target is 50K. That would put us at $1 trillion more or less market cap for Bitcoin, which feels right at this stage. So I think the bigger picture here is that an asset that's been outperforming everything for 15 years is now coming into the TradFi circle because there's demand for it. And so I just think that's really bullish. And yes, there might be some profit taking here, but I just don't think that matters, right? Bullish price action right here. Now, if you want to trade, check out Bybit, link in description. If you deposit and trade on there, you can get a deposit bonus up to $30,000. You can check the details via the links below in the description. What we want to look at though is Bitcoin overpriced at this level, right? Because you don't want to get into a trade and then everyone's taking profits. I don't think it is overpriced at this level for where we are in this current cycle. I think it's pretty normal. Remember, Bitcoin is a growing network. As it grows, it will be fundamentally worth more. What we don't want to do is get caught out in the short-term price cycles. What I mean by that is you don't want to be going long at the top of a price cycle, and you don't want to be going short at the bottom of a price cycle. You obviously want to buy at the bottom of these cycles, which has been happening over all of this time, right? Now, as you can see, before the halving in blue, we are not overdone. This is I would say, just the normal regression of Bitcoin's growth in orange right here. Anything under that for me is like, buy it, because the price is relatively cheap in relation to actual fundamental network growth. Anything under that is just an automatic buy. You can see what we did here as well. Previous bear market, we came down to the lower blue line. We reacted to the upside very, very strongly. And then we had the pandemic. However, you can see that rejection, you had the halving and you had the expansion. We are doing the same thing again. Despite ETFs, which are apparently very big news, we are in the same area as we were previous halving, right? Just below this line. Yes, a higher price level, but that is because the network has grown. More users to the network gives it a higher value. So what we're seeing here is a massive upswing in the price action, in the price cycle. Remember, 4-year price cycles up and down, a 15-year bull market in growth of the asset. So we aren't overdone, in my opinion. We are not, huge. We are not up here. If we're up here, then we're overdone in terms of the price cycle. We're still in early stages of this bull market. And if we're looking at this, we're looking at another 6, 12, 18 months of volatile, yes, but upside movement, in my opinion. What is driving my opinion on this? It's not previous price cycles or trying to put patterns from the past into the future. It is the fundamentals. Central banks, the macro environment, interest rates, and inflation. All of them inflecting down right now, which means central banks have to be easier with monetary policy. Inflation is missing all around the world. Europe's basically in deflation in some countries. The UK inflation just came in way underneath what was expected. Even in the States, inflation is not as hot anymore. If you're looking at 3 to 6 month leads, you're seeing that around target. What they don't want is deflation or under target inflation. That's worse than inflation for them. And that's happening or may happen very soon. So that's why they're worrying and saying we're not raising rates anymore. We're going to be, coming down a little bit. That's good for risk assets. As fiat currencies are weakened and interest rates come down, that just lifts risk assets. So they're all going to perform over this part of the cycle, in my opinion, right? Crypto, it's a growth asset, so long-term growth, and we're coming into this part of the price cycle where prices expand. Bitcoin, Ethereum, they're all going up, right? Ethereum is up very nicely this year, but some outperform others. What should you do here? Diversify and have a bag of stuff. That's one way of doing it. Put it all in Bitcoin because that's just the proxy. Can do that. It's up to the individual investor what they want to do, but each altcoin is going to outperform at different times. Solana outperforming right now for sure because of airdrop season, right? So you have specifically Solana saying, we're going to launch loads of protocols. We're going to launch tokens. We're going to give them out to people for using those protocols. People are attracted to the chain. They buy the layer one. They speculate. They then trade amongst themselves and wash trade to get airdrop tokens. The airdrop tokens come. They sell those airdrop tokens for the layer one as a kind of risk off thing. And that pushes the layer one up. So Solana have timed it very well. Remember, Solana, driven basically by Solana Ventures, they used the macro cycle to their advantage. The expansion in risk assets, because we're in that part of the cycle, and they specifically did airdrop season right here and timed it perfectly to get this big outperformance right here. Now, different assets are going to outperform at different times. Ethereum following Bitcoin very, very closely, but it's Bitcoin's time to outperform now as well because it has ETF narrative going on and going into TradFi, right? And it's got the halving, which is obviously a massive narrative. It always outperforms at this point. So crypto assets outperform at different times, which is why diversification is good, or just putting it into the proxy, which is BTC. As we can see here, ETH BTC, the cross between them. So the ISM, which is a manufacturing index, you can see as this is predicted to expand, you're potentially looking for ETH to expand in relation to Bitcoin as well. I don't know if this is going to happen this time because the Bitcoin ETF may really drive flows towards Bitcoin. But as we know, the Ethereum ETFs, these are being applied for now as well. And we're talking about potentially May for some decisions on those. So some good news for ETH may be coming as well. So potentially the outperformance of Solana and BTC, may go into ETH at some point, right? So you can see how they move. They're definitely not uncorrelated. They have a very, very high correlation in terms of their price movements and specific outperformance at different times because they can't all move at exactly the same rate. There are specific things that drive these. So that is potential for ETH as well. Now we're looking at the Bitcoin drivers right here. This is from Fidelity. This is Juria and Timmer. You can see this is Bitcoin in terms of its in the adoption of BTC and also interest rates. So what we're doing here is a regression of the actual growth of the Bitcoin network and then where the price may get to based on where interest rates are. You can just see that here in purple that according to Fidelity, with the growth of the Bitcoin network, if interest rates are high and so restrictive, then they're saying around 41,000 in 2025. So we're looking through the end of this bull market. If rates are not restrictive, so if they're supportive and actually a little bit lower than inflation because they're trying to keep inflation up, they would predict anywhere up to around 96K. So as you can see, we are drawing out of this. We don't know where inflation is going to be, how the economy is going to be growing, how unemployment is going to be. But we're going into a part of the cycle where it seems like we've had inflation is coming down, it's working. Now the next part of the cycle is potentially to ease. So that is why Bitcoin is reacting. So it's a huge price target, but it's a volatile asset class. 100K price target for this cycle seems like a lot of people are kind of consensus around that. Now, as you can see, Bitcoin always overshoots to the upside as well. You can see that here, too much excitement. And you can see that in the last bull market, too much excitement, where it actually goes above the regression. So that could happen again if interest rates go back to zero. Don't think they will. Or if something happens and just people get overexcited, they push the price up. But as a regression, that's what they're looking at. So yes, volatile, but this is just absolutely going to happen if Bitcoin keeps growing as a network. And for 15 years it has done, so why would it stop now as it's being brought into TradFi? We will, of course, get some major drawdown in this cycle where everyone just gets too bullish, too one way, too long, too overdone, and eventually, the market just has to pull back. That does happen, 20, 30% drawdowns, but the general trend here, if you're just taking a bit of a longer view, right, 6 to 12 months, is that we are at the start of a big expansion in price. Right? It's very, very obvious at this point, and all of those catalysts are pushing us, into that part of the price cycle. But fundamentally, crypto is growing, and so if you're a long-term investor, some allocation to these assets is obviously wise, which is why the demand is there, which is why the ETFs are coming. The demand is there because fundamental growth has been seen. If you want to trade this, check out Bybit, 30K deposit bonus in the description, and I'll be making those updates to the Crypto Investor course in January, so watch out for those. I'm James, it's MoneyZG. Cheers for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.